The Prime Minister has confirmed he is preparing a plan to get to net zero by 2050, but he still faces pushback from the Nationals. Live now to our political reporter, Andrea Crothers. Andrea, the Prime Minister has a fight on his hands here, or he'll need to deliver a quid pro quo.
Laura, he certainly does, because the Prime Minister still needs to get his coalition partners, the Nationals, on board before making any formal pledge to get to net zero by 2050. Now, the Nationals Party do have their regular meeting this morning. You can imagine that climate policy will come up. We've already seen the former Nationals leader Michael McCormack this morning come out to say his views, express his views that Australia really doesn't want to get left behind. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got Queensland Senator Matt Canavan, who says he's dead set against any commitment to net zero by 2050. There are those who are open to getting there, but they don't want it to come at the expense of regional communities, particularly concerned about the impact to the coal and the agriculture sector. Now, those sentiments were echoed across morning TV today.
What's next? If you want to rub out our coal sector, our offshore oil and gas, do you then move to cattle because it's a big producer of methane?
Regional Australia's footed the bill for much of what has been achieved in us reducing emissions at the moment. We've paid that bill. It's now time to square the ledger.
We have to make sure that we're protecting the jobs. We have to, in the same breath, understand that we are actually protecting the economy.
Now, if you look at New Zealand, farmers have been exempt from their pledge to get to net zero by 2050. They'll only be forced to pay for 5% of their emissions from 2025 onwards. Now, a report released by the Grattan Institute says that the same shouldn't occur in Australia, that it would be incredibly difficult to get to that goal without the agricultural sector contributing. Scott Morrison, in regards to this plan, said that we'll focus on cutting greenhouse gas emissions whilst also looking at those technological gains. But we do know the pressure, it will be ramping up on the Prime Minister, particularly ahead of the UN's World Climate Summit, which is due to be held in Glasgow in November, Laura.
Yeah, that's right. Look, domestically, the Prime Minister has a bit of a problem on his hands at the moment. Newspoll says that essentially, if an election were held today, he could lose between 6 and 10 seats.
Yeah, Laura, he certainly has another fight on his hands. The election isn't expected to occur until early next year, but no doubt this Newspoll data will be concerning for the Morrison government. So new analysis of the last quarter of Newspolls by the Australian shows that the Morrison government would be in pretty severe trouble should those results be replicated at the ballot box if it were held today. That one-seat majority, well, it would be blown out of the water. A distant memory, 6 to 10 seats lost. Now, the particular losses are New South Wales, Victoria, as well as WA. That's where the most major swings are against the coalition. Bearing in mind that 2 of those states are ones which are going through extended lockdowns. Now, nationally, a 3-point fall in their primary vote, down to 38%. And the only mainland state where the coalition remains in front on the two-party preferred basis, that is Queensland, interestingly, Laura.
Very interesting indeed. Andrea, thanks so much for that.